Who will win E3 2017? Here to discuss with me is, of course, Zach Sharps. Hey, man.
Hey, how's it going? E3 is right around the corner.
I can't freaking wait. It's going to be awesome. This year will be, of course, like Nintendo finally has a console that they can really push. Like last year was kind of weird with, of course, they only had Zelda. Sony has so many games that they can show. And then we also have Microsoft that is, going to show a new platform. So we're talking here about the big three, right? Because for third party to win E3 is kind of weird. And they of course kind of combine. For example, Activision will show their game during the Sony press conference. So I think that also counts towards Sony because they got the exclusive deal going on. So I think that everyone has a chance to win. It's not like we sit here and we can already like say, okay, it's like clear this one will win. I think that if Microsoft makes a great like point for the Scorpio, that everyone will be like, oh my god, this indeed looks amazing. If they are going to show amazing games, they can still win. I think that if Nintendo makes so many right calls with the Switch, that in the upcoming months we will have amazing games to play, and we will get, for example, the Metroid we've been asking for a long time, or like a Smash Bros remake for the Switch, something like that. That would be amazing as well. And Sony, of course, they just have to keep going with the amazing games they have. But maybe they're not showing everything, because I think that if we look at all the cards from the publishers right now, Sony has the best one. But in my opinion, doesn't really mean that it will win, although the chances are the highest.
Yeah, I mean, everyone has a chance this year, unlike last year where it was pretty much going to be Sony the entire time, because Xbox was in limbo, Nintendo was in limbo for the most part. We're still waiting for what they were going to do with Switch and whatnot. So yeah, it's really one of those things where if everyone plays their cards right, it could be a pretty even showing, but you know that's not going to happen, so that's why we're making these predictions.
No, totally. So I think that we both kind of agree on, like I said, Sony has the best cards.
Yeah.
But what do they have to do? I mean, I think that even if Microsoft knocks it out of the park, even if Nintendo shows some awesome games, I think that Sony is like on some level that even if they do like if they have the same like a level of showing as the other two, the same like level of surprises and stuff like that, I think that because they're already like a little on top with the upcoming games they have slated to release, like The Last of Us Part 2, Death Stranding, Spider-Man, of course, Detroit, Days Gone. So if they are already like adding stuff to that, it will be super hard to beat. So right now my guess will of course be Sony. I mean, the last years they did such an amazing job with their press conference. Not a lot of bullshit, a lot of exclusive games, surprises at the beginning. They brought games back that we thought were dead, like The Lost Guardian, stuff like that. I mean, of course, it turned out like not a really financial success. People loved the game though, but it was still that moment that really helped. And of course they have the orchestra that also helps, that plays along with the trailers of the games. So that's pretty cool. But on the other end, the Microsoft has like they really have to. Like Sony is on top right now. They are doing a great job. They can release games whenever they want, because people are still buying the system. They have a ton of exclusive content for the upcoming AAA games like Destiny 2, Battlefront 2, Far Cry will also have exclusive content, Call of Duty of course. So they're in a really good spot. Well, Microsoft really has to do something, because they're like 50%, they're like 27 million Xbox One, something like that, and more than 55 million PlayStation 4. So PlayStation is well ahead of them. So they have to do something to kind of catch up. And of course the Scorpio is their card. So do you think they will be able to to make sure that, for example, also PlayStation people, or like the average gamer will look at the Scorpio and think, oh my god, okay, I might need it, while before they were like, okay, why would I need that system?
Well, the reason why, and I'll give you my prediction for who will win, it's Sony, and this is the reason why. It all comes down to, what are people going to be watching this conference on? They're going to be watching it on 1080p or 720p. media players, whether that be a phone or whether it be a computer or a laptop or wherever the case may be, that their TV, they're going to be watching it on resolutions that aren't going to help out Microsoft. Their presentation, they said that they're going to do it in 4K on their own streaming service that no one uses, and so that's gonna not really help them. There's also obviously gonna be streams on like Twitch, there's gonna be on YouTube, all of which will likely be 1080p, and so there's not really going to be a lot of 4K access. That's mainstream access for people to watch this conference on, and it's also not really going to be displayed on 4K devices either, because a lot of people just don't have them yet. So the Scorpio, being that it will likely blow a lot of people away that are on the show floor in terms of what it could do, a lot of people watching who they need to convince to switch over to the Scorpio or even just the Xbox One are not going to see those benefits. They're just going to see, maybe some more better, foliage and some, more trees, more grass, stuff like that on screen, a little bit more detail maybe, but they're not going to see the blown away sort of effects. That's really what hurts Sony with the Pro. It's going to hurt Microsoft with the Scorpio. And so when it really comes down to it,
but they saw what Sony did wrong, like with that whole presentation was a bad thing. So they're not going to
go
year
specs.
later.
Yeah. They're
not going to do, I think, the same mistakes that Sony made. I think that if they want to win this show, they have to come with more than just a 4K 60 FPS machine. The Eurogamer articles like that really revealed the specs for this system. Also said that there will be more surprises in store for this system that we haven't heard of yet. And then we come back to what we've been saying for years now, and that is that this system will be a sort of PC combined, a console with a PC combined.
Exactly, and that's where their other cards come into play. The fact that they can take other routes than just spouting the raw performance of the machine. They can maybe go the hybrid PC route, maybe. And this is a random theory that we've had for a longest time. It was sort of a bold prediction at first, but it kind of would work. Teaming up with Steam, maybe. Bringing all those games onto the platform, because the fact that the machine is so powerful that it can handle pretty much anything you throw at it. Like, stuff like that could be thrown in here, and that would really put the Scorpio over the top, and maybe even some people who have a PlayStation who maybe also want to experience some games on the PC, maybe they would hop ship just to have maybe a more streamlined PC per se. So there's stuff that they could do software-wise to really make this thing pop off the screen, if you will. But they also need to bring the content that is exclusive to the platform. And that's what I really worry about with Microsoft, is do they even have it? But what do they have? We're obviously going to see something from Forza, probably Forza Motorsport 6, right? 6 or 5? I think it's 6. I'm not 100% sure, but
I think it's 7.
Is it 7? I don't even know at this point.
7.
We're gonna see a Forza, and that's
it's 7.
that will blow everyone away, because it's a beautiful game and everything, and they always have a good showing in that regard. We've heard that Halo won't be at this the showing, so that's kind of odd. Especially since a lot of people were thinking Halo 3 remastered or anniversary, like maybe is that going to be a thing? But if Halo's not going to be there, then they're not even going to have that. So it's really awkward for Microsoft right now, and that's maybe a good thing. Maybe that means there's going to be more buzz around this, because we want to know what's there, what's beneath the surface that we don't see. And so that's what we're really going to be looking for with Microsoft. But for all the conferences, Nintendo, to get on Nintendo, they can show off some games, they can do everything, but I don't think that they can really put themselves over the top until their big hitters come out. Like, we already saw Zelda, but that was also on the Wii U. We're gonna see Mario, but that's gonna be in holiday. So that's really when the Switch, to me, is gonna pick up a lot of steam. That's when we're gonna start to see that thing hitting its stride, and then the E3 after that, I think, is when we're gonna see a lot.
But right now, a lot of people bought the Switch. They are really like upping their production. Like, the Wall Street Journal had a rumor where they said, okay, the Switch is planning to up like their production for 18 million in the first year. So that means that they want to sell more Switches in 1 year than they did the Wii U in lifetime. That's pretty sick. Like way more, because I think the Wii U hit like 12, 13 million, something like that. So they're really like pushing it, and I think that of course they have some sort of nice, they're in a nice position because not a lot of people played Wii U games, and the people that played Wii U games are willing to pay for them again, like we saw with Mario Kart. So what they have is this huge catalog that they can just release while they're working on new titles that they can then later release. So they're in a really cool spot, and I think that while 2017 already looks pretty good for the Switch, I mean, we get a pretty like top tier title every month now. I think that's pretty well for a system that I see as my second system. Like, I don't see it as my PlayStation 4. If I only had a Switch, I would cry, but I don't have that. So then it's like pretty cool that we get ARMS, then a Splatoon, and then like some other games that are coming up, like a Mario, and of course Xenoblade Chronicles 2, maybe that will still hit like this year, that they're talking about it. Monster Hunter is coming to Japan, maybe they're bringing that to the West as well. But I think that right now we're only like looking at 2017. Maybe at this year's E3 they will also say, okay, but this is like in the future, like this is 2018, like that's what they normally do with the E3 as well, that they announce games that are there and that will be like for in the future, because right now we don't know what 2018 will look like. They really are like, a lot of people are loving their Switch right now. They have to show, yes, it's not only 2017, we have way more games planned, but I agree with you, it will not be like the same caliber as, of course, Mario is huge. But if The Last of Us Part 2 gets a new trailer, and Death Stranding and Spider-Man, then it's already like, okay, yeah, Mario is cool, but it does not compete with like multiple exclusives for the PlayStation.
Yeah, I think that the quantity is just going to overwhelm them, and they really can't outdo that, I don't think. But what I will say is, if they show a Pokemon RPG for the Switch that, you know, shows them not a Pokemon Stadium, not a, you know, Pokemon whatever the hell,
the 3DS title though,
like a straight up Pokemon RPG, like sort of what we see with like Sun and Moon and, you know, all the other ones. Like, that's what I want to see on the Switch. That's what would make me consider a Switch. So my personal bias, that's what would really set them over the top, at least for me. But will we see that? Maybe,
also,
likely
I mean,
not,
there are rumors for that Pokemon Stars game, so it could be that it's that one, right?
Yeah, but
would that like be on the same level as a completely new game? Because I think that they will go that route first, and then maybe next year or the year after that go with a completely new title. Because I do believe while we will see new 3DS games this year, I think next year, why would they even bother? I mean, people are using their Switch as their handheld as well. So
to get back to my point with to Sony, Sony just has a lot of quantity there. They can just fire and fire and fire away, and they have the luxury of being able to hold back if they want, because they have so much. And so that really sets them up to be like, hey, do we really need to show more Last of Us? Hey, do we really need to show this? Do we really need to show that? Should we focus more on this? Should we focus more on that? So that's really what they're balancing right now, is the flow of the show. And so that's why it's safe for me to say that they're going to win E3 this year. But looking forward, that's what really sets the show apart from last year, and maybe even the year before that, is we're seeing these consoles hit their stride or start to hit their stride, and these companies really learn and trying to shift what they're trying to do. So like with Microsoft, we see them going to be releasing the Scorpio, and we're going to see what their vision is for the future in that regard. With Sony, we already know what they want to do, and they're just keeping, and they're pushing it, and they're pushing it, and pushing it. So they're in their stride right now. Microsoft's trying to hit their stride. Nintendo, we saw what they want to do for the future. We're seeing more of it, and we're going to see more of it. So they're starting to pick up their stride, because the console's selling really well. So they don't really have to prove much other than what else is, you know, coming out. That's really what they have to
keep this momentum going. That's really what they have.
Exactly. So yeah, that's the big thing is that the one that really has the chip on their shoulders, Microsoft. Nintendo just has to keep pushing, and so does Sony. So I think the biggest failure chance comes from Nintendo, because they may not have the quantity to really impress us, because maybe they just don't care about E3. You know, it's not beyond them to be like, hey, E3, we're just gonna do a random event and that's it. But with Microsoft, they have a lot of stuff that they need to come out with, and they gotta prove to everyone that they're still in the race, because they're pretty far behind. They're half of the sales of the PS4, so Sony just has to keep sprinting. You know, they're winning the marathon easily. Yeah,
totally. And that's of course while Microsoft in like the previous generation was on top like all the time. So yeah, they come from this place where they were top, and now they're like really far behind. So it's interesting to see what they will do, but hopefully they will show us exclusive games. We know that, for example, the studio from Forza is working on an exclusive sort of third-person action game, as far as I know, like something completely different than a racing game, but that started like early or like in 2016 somewhere. So maybe they will do like some sort of the Sony tactic where they will show teasers like Greatness Awaits that helped Sony. So that might help Scorpio, but it will be interesting to see if the other games that they already have slated, like a Crackdown, State of Decay 2, will really impress people on the same level as the Sony exclusives will. I think it will be hard, but yeah, we will have to wait to see. What I think, to round out this topic, is that Sony does have, they set the bar like really high with their previous shows. So what I think that could, I mean, a lot of people want, for example, a Bloodborne 2. So if there will not be a Bloodborne 2, they might feel disappointed. So maybe because the bar is so high and people maybe want The Last of Us Part 2, and maybe they will not show it because it's still really far away. So there might be things going on where the expectations are so high because of the previous years that they can simply not match them, or are not choosing to match them because they want to like show at PlayStation Experience stuff as well and at other shows. So that will be interesting, but I think that they will nearly, they are, yeah, they know what they have to do, and they also know that if they, I mean, Microsoft is going to do a lot of stuff, so they might, they want to combat that somehow, even if they really, I mean, they still have to a little bit, but not as much as like in the previous generation. But I think it will be super interesting. I also have a video up discussing what will happen, like when will everything happen during E3, so watch that to stay up to date on everything that will happen. I will be going to E3, we'll have some videos, so we will discuss, of course, a lot of stuff that happened after the show, so that will be super interesting. So subscribe to stay up to date on that. Zach, thanks a lot for discussing this with me as always, and like the video, of course, if you liked it, and let us know what you think, who will win E3 2017. Thanks a lot for watching, and goodbye.
Goodbye.